Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Amber. I am an astrologer. I read tarot, psychic medium, all that stuff. And as you can tell by the title, we're going to be talking about the planet Neptune and my experience with it. As you can tell, by my username, I literally am obsessed with this planet. I'm forced to be obsessed with this planet, and I'll get into it in a couple of minutes. I've been studying astrology since I was 15. I'm 22 now. I actually just went through my solar return back in July because I'm filming this in August. So in tropical astrology, I am a Leo sun, Aquarius moon, Aries rising, Aries ascendant. I don't follow tropical astrology. I'm a sidereal astrologer, and I study with whole sign houses. Sidereal astrology, I am a Cancer sun, Capricorn moon, Pisces ascendant. And I like my sidereal chart a lot better because I feel like it's more accurate to who I am. But if you see my big three, in the description, I put Leo sun there. Even though that's in tropical, because all of my Cancer placements, which you'll see in a second because I'm going to show you my chart for this actually, are in the 5th house, which is ruled by Leo, which is creativity, art, being in the spotlight, stuff like that. Yeah, I've been studying astrology for around 7 to 8 years. Not 78 years, oh my god, could you imagine? I'm literally just 22, calm down. But yeah, 7 to 8 years anyway. So I'd like to think that I have somewhat accumulated a lot of knowledge, and I kind of like to think I know what I'm talking about, but let's not get too cocky. I felt like this is the perfect place to start. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know, and I may do a video on Neptune through the houses, just because, like I said, I have a lot of experience with this planet and I cannot avoid this planet. So if you want to see that, please comment down below and let me know. But yeah, with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and jump into it. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and put my chart up on the screen. Yeah, so as you can see in sidereal astrology with whole sign houses, I have Jupiter, I have Sun, Mercury, Mars, and Jupiter all in the 5th house. Now, Jupiter is the one planet that is not opposing my Neptune by degree. It's still opposing it by sign. So yeah, all of those planets in Cancer in the 5th house, opposite Neptune and Capricorn, because Cancer and Capricorn are opposites, which is why there's an opposition there. Opposition is essentially, in my opinion, it's the hardest aspect, the most challenging aspect, because oppositions are ruled by Saturn, which is the planet of life lessons, restrictions, boundaries, kind of just feeling stuck and not being able to move anywhere, especially if it's super, especially if your Saturn is also afflicted in a hard part of your chart, which mine literally is. It's in Gemini and it's in 0 degrees in the 4th house, which is home and family. That kind of has to do with it too. But yeah, Neptune, if you don't know, Neptune is the planet of dreams, delusions, fantasies, confusion, escapism, addictions a little bit too, to some degree, because it does rule the 12th house, which is your mental health, feeling in prison. It deals with prisons and imprisonment. So a lot of I felt a lot of just feeling stuck in my head, I would say, just already jumping into it. All of those planets opposite Neptune, so all of these planets, Cancer is very much about being withdrawn to some degree, just kind of wanting to protect everything that's around it and kind of just being very sensitive, because Neptune does rule water already, and Cancer and Pisces is a water sign. My Pluto and Scorpio as well is also trining my ascendant, and it's trining my Mercury, and it's trining my Lilith. So as you can see, in my chart, if you saw that big triangle, it's because I have something known as a grand trine, which is it basically creates easy flowing energy between all of those 3 planets. Just in general, let's just start off with my childhood, okay? So in modern astrology, Neptune does rule Pisces, and traditional astrology, it is ruled by Jupiter. But I use both because, like I said, I resonate with both. And like I said, Jupiter is opposing my Neptune still by sign. So it does kind of apply to my rising. And then I also have Lilith in Pisces, and it's conjunct my ascendant. So it's a little bit darker, I'm not gonna lie. It's been very challenging. And oppositions, like I said, are about trying to just make 2 opposite energies kind of, because it's how would I explain oppositions? It's kind of just 2 people who are who kind of hate each other and don't want to talk to each other, but they're just staring at each other across the room. This is so funny. You know how cats, whenever they're they hate each other and they meet, like they just like arch their backs and they're just like staring at each other, like they're just like not moving, but they're just like staring at each other. That's like oppositions essentially between two planets. Let's just go ahead and start off with basically my childhood. So this also has to do with like Saturn in the 4th house, moon conjunct Uranus, a lot of other things in my chart. My moon is also opposite all of those planets too, because it's in Capricorn, but it's out of sect, and it's like literally at 29 degrees, and it's almost in the 12th house and the sign of Aquarius. So the moon also has to deal with this because it's parallel to Neptune, which is, the moon's already in its detriment. It doesn't like to be in Capricorn because the moon is at home in Cancer. But in general, my childhood, like I've just grown up feeling very confused about who I am. Like, because Neptune confuses and mystifies and anything that it touches or aspects. So my whole entire life, I felt a very spiritual connection, like to just, I guess, life. Sorry for the background noise. I just felt very confused about who I was. There's a lot of the times where I just didn't feel like a real person. Like I was always very dissociated and like not all there and like head in the clouds, which I actually found out later on. I got diagnosed at 17 with ADHD, which is very much Neptune. Like that's so Neptunian, because I have Mercury, which is the planet of communication, intellect, and your mind, opposite Neptune, which confuses everything, and dreams and fantasies and illusions and stuff like that. I've always felt very drawn to like spirituality. Even though I grew up Christian, like I just always felt very connected to like spirit or God or whatever you believe in. I don't really know, but like connected to some higher realm. Anybody like who knows me, like who grew up with me, will know that I literally actually collected crystals, and like I was so into like spirituality even as a young kid. I've always felt very confused about my life, like growing up. I will say Neptune is also the planet of art, beauty, and music. Venus is too, but Neptune is the higher octave of Venus. Neptune is Venus's mother essentially in astrology, in my opinion. A lot of other astrologers say that too, and I definitely agree with that. The positive I would say for Neptune, even though it's very like a problematic planet for me a lot of the times, is I was blessed with artistic talent, and I was blessed with musical talent. I've been singing since like before I could even remember, so I would say that I'm a pretty good singer too. I've been singing my entire life, been obsessed with music my entire life. But the problem with Neptune, especially opposing planets, and it being my modern chart ruler, and Lilith being conjunct my ascendant as well. In Pisces, I've had a lot of trouble with actually following through with things. I have a lot of dreams and fantasies and things I want to go after, but I just never actually follow through with them, which does have to do with ADHD if we're talking about it like in practical terms. I'm very big picture oriented, which is very Neptunian. I have trouble with motivation, staying motivated, grounding myself, being practical, being serious, I guess you could say. Well, I'm a very serious person, like not gonna lie. I can still have fun and stuff like that, obviously, because I have like that Cancer stellium's in the 5th house of fun and creativity. It being opposite Neptune in the 11th house of Capricorn, like I have trouble between like kind of nurturing my creative talents and sharing them with the world, because the 5th house is art and creativity, right, and passion. It also has to do with romance a little bit too, which I'll talk about. I felt very secure in terms of my talents, spirituality, and like my beliefs and stuff. I always known like what I truly believe in, and like who I truly like was in terms of like a bigger picture, like know like who I truly am. But like actually at the same time, I was confused because it's like Neptune, unfortunately, in this day and age and just in general in society, it's not very practical. You have to go to a 9 to 5, you have to like work or go to school or college. That's the cookie cutter path, which there's nothing wrong with that, but Neptune energy in general doesn't really mesh well with society. Entire life I felt very like withdrawn in terms of like wanting to share my talents and knowing that I'm talented and wanting to share that, but feeling ashamed or feeling embarrassed about my art not being good enough. I definitely think I was blessed with kind of my confidence. I feel very confident in the way that I look and my talents and my singing ability and my art and stuff like that, but I still secretly feel like I cannot share my creative arts and my creative talents, because the 11th house has to do with networking and audience and larger groups and friends. So my entire life, because all of those planets in the 5th house opposite Neptune in the 11th, I secretly feel like no one's gonna take me seriously. I guess it's not even really a secret. Like it's kind of just known. Neptune also like mystifies and like confuses and adds illusion to like anything that it touches or aspects. So a lot of the times I come off as someone who's very confident, very magnetic, very alluring. I've been told that I come off as someone who's naive and innocent, which makes sense because that's that Pisces ascendant, okay? Lilith being conjunct my ascendant as well in Pisces, it kind of adds a little bit of darker, intense, alluring, magnetic kind of energy. So I feel like a lot of people don't really know me in romantic relationships relationships, especially because fifth house is romance and dating, people often get very confused about who I come off as, like my first impression or my persona, I guess you could say, versus who I actually am. I would say my public persona, or like how people view me based on first impression, which is probably like completely wrong. I'm very like delusional in terms of that. I'm very confused about how I come off to other people. But I think, from what I think and what I believe, is I come off as someone who's kind of like, nowadays, I would say I come off as a lot more serious, withdrawn. Definitely kind of grown into that and kind of toned down a little bit of like my Cancer sun and Jupiter, because they are conjunct. I would say in the past I came off as a lot more naive, innocent, vibrant, fun to be around, cheerful and happy-go-lucky, positive, and a little bit weird and chaotic. But nowadays I would say I definitely come off as someone who is a lot more private, more withdrawn, still able to converse with people and like talk to people, because I am a great communicator in terms of that. Even though Mercury and Mars are opposite Neptune, I still have them conjunct. But yeah, nowadays I think I come off as someone who's a lot more serious and withdrawn. Still a little bit lively, but I definitely think I've toned down like that confident energy a little bit, because like I said, over time people started to kind of make me feel very insecure, basically kind of just like to shut me down, because I feel like, one, that was kind of like my own fears, kind of projecting them onto other people, because Neptune also has to do with projection as well. I don't even know where I'm going with this. I've had a lot of trouble communicating, can't ground myself. For a really long time I hated being practical. I hated like the idea of going to school, going to work, all this other stuff. Like, I absolutely hated it. Could not even get myself out of bed, because Neptune does also rule sleep in beds, which is funny. And just kind of closing myself off, essentially, because a very private sign, it likes to protect everything, withdraw in their own like crab shell, I guess. Also, my moon is parallel to Neptune. Like I said, it's at the 29th degree, and Capricorn is very like serious energy, very withdrawn energy as well. But it's at 29 degrees, which is an anaretic degree. It's a hard degree to have it in. It's conjunct Uranus in the 12th house, and the 12th house is everything that's hidden. It's the subconscious, being withdrawn, being very private, isolated. My entire life in general, I would say, is like, I am a very friendly person. Like, I can talk to people and converse with people. Like, that's the beauty of having Moon in the 11th and Neptune in the 11th, is that I can talk to people. I get along with a lot of people. I would definitely say a lot of people kind of just knew of me, especially in school. People like knew of me, but they didn't really like actually know me, because I would go to school and like converse and like talk to a lot of people and be like so fun and upbeat and outgoing and kind of attention seeking a little bit, not gonna lie, especially with that 5th house stellium and Lilith conjunct my ascendant. I like to be shown off. Like, I like to express my creativity and my talents, because I know I'm talented. I'm not trying to be conceited, but like, I know I'm talented, you know what I mean? So yeah, a lot of people knew of me, but they didn't really actually know me, because I would have like maybe a few people that I would talk to, but then I would go home and not talk to anybody. People kind of felt like they would get close to me, and then I would like ghost them or become a lot more distant and withdrawn. So that's kind of like similar. I would definitely say that's very Neptunian energy, because a lot of people, they would project their ideals onto me, their fantasies, their dreams, and romantic relationships specifically. I don't really know about friendships, because I've struggled with friendships, obviously, with the 11th house. People made a lot of assumptions about me, like just in general. I not even just in school and like online and social media, but like I also did like a video with Anthony Padilla, actually, what was that, like 2 years ago? I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, I don't really remember, where I talked about my experience with kleptomania, which I've been doing really good with that, actually. I would say it's been about a year since I shoplifted, like 1 or 2 years anyway. Like, I'm doing really good with that, especially since I started ADHD medication, which is funny because Neptune does rule medication, it rules drugs. So ever since I've started ADHD medication, I've been a lot more grounded and practical, and it's helped with a lot of my impulse control. But yeah, even in the comment section, like, I had a lot of people kind of just, I even had this one comment, I'll put a picture of it up. Like, give me 1 second. Here's the picture. Yeah, like, as you can see, this person literally said that, like, I don't remember exactly what it said, but you've read what it said. Too friendly or something, like romanticizing stuff. Like, people just assumed that, like, because I'm so like positive or just like open in terms of like serious topics in that way, people just assume that like I'm not taking things seriously. Like, that's another thing with Neptune too, is people often think that I'm not taking certain situations seriously. Like, I've been called out so many times for like either not paying attention, which is ADHD, Neptune, whatever, but also just not being serious when I need to be serious about certain things. It's very interesting because like on one hand, it's like I'm very serious, which is like the whole opposition thing. One hand, I'm very serious with like Capricorn moon, Neptune, and Capricorn, and then the other side of me is very fun and upbeat and passionate and like unserious with Jupiter and Cancer, Sun in Cancer in the 5th house. Like all of that energy and just like very unserious with the 5th house. So it's very like funny. It's like very back and forth, which is very oppositional. Like nowadays, I would say like current me, I definitely still struggle with being very practical, and I think that's something I'm always going to struggle with, is just wanting to escape. The thing is with Neptune, like especially oppositions or squares or conjunctions, astrology aside, even with that, like ADHD too, your brain is always going to want to escape whether you actually want to or not. It doesn't matter how hard I try, I just still struggle to ground myself. I still get distracted, I still have my head in the clouds, I still fantasize a lot about things and don't follow through. And I like to think that Neptune as well is a very martyr-like energy, because, you know, like I said, Neptune is unconditional love and like sacrifice as well. So a lot of the times you can find people with Neptune that's very prominent in their chart, especially like afflicted, heavily aspected negatively, very martyr, starving artist like energy. I felt like I always had to give myself to other people and do things for other people, and I can never actually do anything back. I mean, that's kind of changed since my Lilith conjunct my ascendant has kind of activated, because if you look at my chart, like if you go back and look at my chart, my Lilith is at 20 degrees and then my ascendant is at 21 degrees in whole sign houses. So because I'm 22, like I definitely noticed, like if you don't know about the degree theory, essentially like the degree theory, this is just all over the place. This is so Mercury opposite Neptune, like just deal with it. The degree theory is basically like whatever degree your planet is in, it activates at that certain age. I definitely noticed like once I turned 20 to like 21, ages 20 to 21, I was very much coming to terms with and feeling ridiculed and feeling like I can't express my authenticity, and feeling very rebellious and not wanting to be controlled, and very like in your face and not caring what other people think, and taking back my power, especially in terms of like my femininity and the idea of masculine and feminine energy, which is very Lilith conjunct the ascendant. I just feel like my entire life, like I just feel like no one knows like who I truly am. I don't even know myself. I kind of have an idea of who I want to become and who I am, but like I will never truly know. I'll always have trouble grounding myself. Like that's just something I'm gonna have to struggle with, is escapism, whether I want to or not. It's just a struggle for me. To wrap it up, I would definitely say this is a very challenging planet to have in general, and a prominent placement in your chart, especially like heavily aspected. Neptunian energy is definitely not for the faint of heart. If you can't handle, like it's just it's hard. It's hard. And romantic relationship, to just finish up, I would say, is this also has to do with Venus square Pluto a little bit too, because that also like exacerbated, and Lilith conjunct my ascendant as well. Those kind of have to do with that theme as well. But a lot of partners or like people who are romantically interested in me, because the 5th house is dating and 11th house, like I said, is larger groups, networking, and audience, they would project a lot of their fantasies onto me. They would think I'm one way and then find out that I'm a completely different way. I would come off as someone who's very caring, innocent, naive, gives unconditional love, which is true. I do actually do that for the people who deserve it, but in reality, like, who I actually am, with my Venus squaring Pluto, having a strong Mercury and Mars in terms of them being conjunct and stuff like that, my Lilith conjunct my ascendant, my Pluto trining my ascendant as well, like my moon in Capricorn conjunct Uranus in the 12th. I am a very intense person. I like the deeper, darker subjects. I've struggled with a lot mentally, and a little bit with my family life too. I won't get into that too much, but I'm a very darker person. I'm very taboo. I'm into a lot of like crazy stuff. Like I won't get into that because like I'm trying to keep this like PG, but I'm into a lot of different things, like freaky things. A very intense person who has very intense emotions, chaotic emotions. I can be a little bit volatile at times, like at my worst. I'm very volatile in terms of like my communication and like how I feel and stuff. And I have very fragmented emotions for sure, especially with moon conjunct Uranus as well. Romantic interest, people who are interested in me romantically, regardless if I reciprocate those feelings or not, they just think that I'm just like this sweet like person, super caring, super kind, would do anything. But in reality, I hate being controlled. I'm very rebellious. I don't like being told what to do. I'm a very intense person with intense emotions. I love attention. I like to be shown off. I like to be able to express myself. I want to be an independent person while still having a partner. I don't want to be like controlled. I love like monogamy. I'd like to think I'd want to get married and settle down. I want to do that, but I need to have my own independence. Like you can't control me. You can't tell me what to do, how to live my life, because I've dealt with controlling partners time and time and time again, because they think that I'm one type of person. Whether I'm trying to intentionally do this or not, I don't really know. Looking back, they just always think that I'm just easy to control, easy to manipulate. In the past I was, but nowadays, especially since my Lilith conjunct my ascendant has been activated, there is no telling me what to do. Like I don't care. So it's like Yeah, controlling exes, people who just are super, super obsessed with me in romantic connections. I'm not even trying to be conceited. It's just what it is. Yeah, overall, Neptune in general is just a hard planet. I'm trying to think, is there anything else that I really want to mention? Yeah, I mean, I was blessed with amazing psychic ability too. Like, I read tarot. I've been reading tarot since I was 15 as well. I think that's pretty much it, honestly. So yeah, the positive side is I'm very creative, artistic, have psychic ability, big picture oriented. A lot of people are magnetically drawn to me, but it's also the opposite, kind of like naive and like innocent to people leeching off of me and taking advantage of me for a really long time, and very confused about my entire life, confused mentally, confused physically, just confused in general, not feeling very directionless, and my energy is very chaotic and all over the place. But on the bright side, I'm a very spiritual person. I feel like even though I don't know like where my life is going, I'm kind of just like floating, I guess, and just going with the flow. And I feel like things work out better for me when I don't try to overly plan it, because the more I try to plan stuff, I swear I just get more and more and more stuck. So anyway, I think I'm gonna end it there. This was all over the place. If you didn't want to ramble, then I'm sorry. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed it. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you want more videos, and I will see you later. Bye.